Alright, so we got another DM event going here that I hosted. I actually recorded this like a couple months back. This was back in like 2024. And now I'm just doing some voiceover for it. This is just one part of I think it was like a 3-part series. This is not part 1, this is just one part of a series where these groups of adventurers were trying to uncover this hidden kingdom in the Sunrise Mountains, a gnomish kingdom. And this was primarily more of like solving riddles and puzzles and stuff than any sort of combat. I kind of got inspiration from playing Resident Evil 2, the remake. I was on a binge of like playing Resident Evil games. I played like the 2 remake, I played 4, then Village. And you know how all those Resident Evil games, they kind of have like these little puzzles that you gotta do. There's like fuses you gotta collect, and then, you know, there's certain puzzles you might have to like rotate certain things or whatever. You know, there's like multiple different puzzles. So this series is basically that, like, you know, just kind of advancing forward. You just gotta solve puzzles and riddles and stuff to get to the next area. So for this event, we only had 3 people. We actually had 4 originally, but one person had to leave. So this is the start of the event. The first puzzle is this giant gate that has like a list of 26 symbols or characters that are like arching above the gate, which is supposed to represent a letter from a certain alphabet of like a language. And to basically open the gate, then you would have to spell open using the characters above the door. But to figure out which letters correspond to like OPEN, you have to count the positions of those symbols with the English lettering. So O in the alphabet is, I think it's like 15th, the 15th letter, so you have to count to the 15th symbol above the door, and then that's your O, and then the next letter is the P. I know that doesn't make actual sense with like real languages, but you know, it's a video game, who cares? It's a puzzle. But they eventually figured it out. I used that magic mouth to speak the like the little riddle. Then I just destroyed the door, or destroyed the gate so they can enter it. And then this is like where the main event takes place. I took a little bit like just explaining like the backstory of this place with that magic mouth, or I guess I'm using this NPC because I can't talk with the mouth. I just cut that part out. So the riddle to enter was, "No answers if you question me, I'll question you instead. But if you shout, I'll answer thee, to say what thou had said." And they figured it out pretty quick. But, you know, the trick is not to say echo, but to shout echo, so it creates an echo. And then that's how the gate opens. So they got that pretty quick. And then we move on to, like, this general area that I had to do a lot of decorating. It took me a while, guys. This took me a couple hours to, like, fully set up. Because it's kind of a big place. There's like several rooms that they have to go through, each with their own puzzle to, you know, keep advancing to the next area. And I wanted to make sure there was like a bit of a backstory too, so I was putting a lot of like corpses and, you know, blood splatters and stuff. I was even doing it like during the middle of some of these riddles because I just didn't have time. So I purposely placed a lot of like items and just scattered them on the floor for this next riddle, which is, "Everyone gathers when I start to dance. My name evokes danger, or is it romance? I can end hunger and I can end lives, and when I die out, I still may survive." So one of the players already got it, it's fire. And so I scattered a whole bunch of items on the floor, including a torch if they needed it. Oh, I also put wild magic in this area too, so every answer is sort of practical. Like you don't have to use magic or anything. Everything that you need is technically in this area. So yeah, they light the statue from the top. They got through that pretty quick. And then that opens another room that was once blocked, typical video game fashion. So we're moving on to the next room, to the next puzzle or riddle. "I cover your front better than a fine coat, and when I am wooden I also can float. If someone attacks you, then I'll take the lead, as you carry me forward to do a good deed." And there is like a little clue with the statue in front of them. It's a statue that's like kind of holding the sword, and they're holding out their forearm, but you know, it seems like their forearm is missing something. So one of the other scattered items I dropped was a shield. So we got a player run in to get one. And I also didn't come up with like some of these, or maybe most of these. I bought a book online that's like specifically for Dungeons and Dragons. It's called The Game Master's Book of Traps, Puzzles, and Dungeons. And it just has like a whole bunch of pre-made, you know, custom traps or puzzles, riddles, and dungeons that you can incorporate into your own game. And some of it was based on the Resident Evil series, you know, when I was playing through it. So, you know, the general concept of some of those puzzles are in here too. And right now this is the end of this room. they kind of fitted the shield onto the statue that like unlocks the next room. So the next puzzle is, you cut me on a table, but you can never take a bite, and draw me when you're ready for an evening of delight. So the answer is a deck of cards. I also set this room up so you have that little, it's like a little gambling area. You got the table with the chairs knocked over, and you can see on the floor there's like a couple like little cards on the floor. So I kind of put little clues in the room if, you know, it's too difficult for them. It was pretty easy for the most part, so I didn't think they really needed it, but did it just in case. So they picked up all 52 cards, placed it on the table, and that pretty much unlocked the next room. This one's puzzle has a giant skull statue. It's a giant skull bearing teeth that towers above them. And the riddle is, sometimes I am yellow, but start my days in white. My allies often are aligned, although we tend to bite. So the answer is a tooth or teeth. And the original solution was actually to have a player like actually pull their teeth out, or their tooth out, and then like put it inside the skull statue. But I wasn't sure if anyone was actually going to do that, so the actual solution is one of the teeth on that big skull statue is like a little lever thing. You can pull it and then that opens the door. It's a more simplified version. And that's why I included the statue had teeth, so just like another little hint for them. This next room is not even like a puzzle at all. This is more of like an Easter egg, kind of. Like this is canonical in like the Forgotten Realms universe. There's a character named Quick Strike that lives down here, so that's a little encounter that they come across. He can like petrify you if you're around the area. And this is the second last puzzle, I'm pretty sure. There's like several statues in this room, and then there's like several items or weapons in this weapons rack, and then you got to match the weapon to the statue. So each statue has like these little clues. I put them all in the description, so you have to like look at the description for them. So one of the statues, the description is like their hands are covered in soot. So the blacksmith hammer goes to that statue because that represents like the blacksmith's work. This statue's fingertips are, you know, covered in ink, and one of the items is a book, so the book goes on that statue. This one has mud-crusted shoes, and one of the options is a scythe, so, you know, working out the fields, your shoes get dirty. So right now I'm just equipping all the statues that these players put the items with. And this is the last puzzle. We got 24 little flames here, the braziers that are surrounding this obelisk. So all of the braziers are numbered, and the riddle for this is forward, backward, upside down, given time, same as the sound. So this puzzle was probably the trickiest for the group. The answer is noon, but it's noon if all of the letters are capitalized, like if both ends are capitalized, so that if you look at it forward, backward, or if you tried to flip it upside down, the ends would still be the same. Always are always the same. So the trick to this puzzle was to cast a shadow at noon. So all the fires initially were surrounding the pillar, so there was no shadows cast, so the trick was to snuff out all the fires except the 24-hour brazier, which would cast the obelisk's shadow to the 12 o'clock, which is across from 24. Then that opens the gate, and that was pretty much it. That was the last puzzle. For this event at least. I did a couple more events, but I didn't actually record it. But they're pretty much the same as this. And this last part's just a little bit of an Easter egg with that Quick Strike character. There's also another character called Mirror. So this guy's down here, they have a little encounter with him. Nothing really happens, he's just kind of a wandering spirit right now. But that pretty much does it for this event. This was pretty fun, guys. I like doing these little puzzles and riddles and stuff. It's a nice change of pace from the typical adventuring off and killing enemies. This was a lot more slow-paced. Some of these events have taken me like 4 hours to do. Like I was sitting in front of a computer. I guess everyone here was sitting in front of a computer for like a good 4 or 5 hours on a couple of these. So we'll probably still do more, but yeah, I usually don't record it. I guess if you guys want to see more, then maybe I'll record it. But for the most part, I'm not really recording my events much. But that does it. Thank you, nerds, for watching. And I guess I'll see you next time.